What's up, everybody? How you doing? We're going to be getting going here in about 5 minutes. If you're watching this later, just make sure you look at all those chapters on the timeline. You can skip ahead to wherever you want after this is already live and published. But I'm looking forward to breaking down these charts with everybody today. We got some really interesting things to look at as the January price action is closed. We're going in right now into February. Second month of the quarter. ETF, has it finished shaking all the different bulls and the bears? What's going to happen? The speculation, the sell-off. We got a lot to talk about today. So I hope each and every one of you are tuned in and ready to learn and break these charts down. So while I got all you here early, everybody that's here early, let's get some chat going. Let's see who's here and active. Do you feel like the price action is, do you feel like we're getting that breakdown like the charts are trying to say? Or do you think that brewing bullish inverse head and shoulders may play out and we get a move to the upside? What do you guys think the price is going to do over the next week? Where do you think it's going? Do you think we're getting a little bit more of a shakeout? Or do you think we're going to hold in this area? Because there's too much underlying bullishness. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. Let's see how you're all, where your mind's at. And have you bought or sold or done nothing in the last 3 days? Let me know what you're doing with your bags. AGIX says 39K by this time next week. Let's see if that comes. Let's see if we get, who thinks we're going to get down to 34K? That'd be pretty cool. It'd be such a good buying opportunity. But will we even have any bear? Will we have people that will sell and get us down there? We got some really interesting charts to look at today, and we're going to be breaking this down in just about 2 minutes. So everybody get involved. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get ready to get this going. I see Renegade Designer says, holding on to my dry powder on the sidelines. Hey, I'm about to start deploying some stuff, and I'm going to be breaking that down in the Discord, showing you exactly what I'm getting, what my strategy is, and what we're going to be doing this. Sawtooth Hiker says 34K. Renegade says 36 to 38K. I think that's going to probably be the most realistic target that we're going to get if we drop down there. Maybe a little wick low, but I'm excited regardless of what price action happens because of what's coming. So everybody, let's get a bit of a roll call right now. If you're here, if you're tuned in pre-stream, let me know. Put something positive in the chat. Let's start this with a positive, encouraging gratitude. That's what this is about, so we can have our mind right before we start jumping into these charts. Let's see those emojis fly. If you're a member, let's see those emojis fly. We're going to be adding a new emoji soon when I think we keep having the number move around, but I think about 10 or 15 members and we'll have a new emoji. But let's get this. Everybody, let's get ready to get into the charts. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. My name is Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here. We have a lot of things that we're going to be breaking down on the charts today. Some really interesting data we need to be paying attention to because we're coming up on such a compressed time frame between now and when this halving is going to be occurring here in just a matter of weeks. And all the things on the back end, the supply crunch, the demand crunch, everything going on with institutions getting involved, what we've seen historically on price action in terms of just rocketing up very shortly after the halving. It's not going to feel like it in the moment because it's just going to go like this. We're just going to have some chop along the way. And then before we know it, it's going to be a parabola going to the upside. And we need to know what to watch out for so we can make sure that we're on the right side of the trade. So we can make sure that we are stacking into the bull run and taking profits at some key levels so we don't get trapped on the wrong side of price action like many people, including myself, did in the last cycle. I see Alexandra G gifted 5 memberships. Special shout out to her. Everybody hit the like button for Alexandra G. Always in here. #1 mod on our team here. And she also does all the time codes for the videos. So when you watch later, they're all broken down into chapters. Special love and appreciation for you. I really do appreciate you. We got Falling Down in here. New member, Chevelon Trout. It's hard to read this because the screen's so far. Preparing for War, Leo Gunn, Crypto Pollo 1. Crypto Pollo, welcome back to being a member. I know you're a longtime viewer here and friend of the channel, so shout out to you. And shout out to all the other members that are here. We got some things that we got to talk about, and that is this chart right here. This is really the reality of what we're dealing with right now in this market. Everybody is zoomed in sometimes on this 7-minute chart going, oh my God, we're pumping, or oh my God, we're dumping. But are we? When we come back over to where we're at right now, it's February 1st. So let's look a little bit more patiently at what's been going on over time. This is the monthly chart. If this was a 4-hour chart, you'd say this is a bull market. There is no bear market that we've seen yet. Why? Because we have rise, retrace, continuation. Retrace, choppiness, but continuation. Okay? Remember, the trend is your friend until it ends. It's very relevant to what time frame you're actively investing and trading in. So if you know this is a trend we're in, a bullish up into the right trend with rise, retrace, continuation, then it really helps prevent you from being so stressed on everything going on. Now, where we're at right now, let's look at this. On the monthly candles, this is the explosion after the FTX collapse right here. Look at this, reversal candle, spinning top candle right here, potential reversal, and we get an explosion to the upside, pullback, retest this breakdown that we had right here, retest this as a breakout, support, resistance, flip. This is what, whenever you see people on Twitter or other analysts talking about an SR flip, it's breaking through a previous resistance and coming down, testing it, flipping it to support. And this is what we've seen along the way. Now look at this explosion that we've seen right here. Now it's something concerning. There is a little bit of concern with what we're seeing on the monthly time frame. What we're seeing on the monthly time frame is look at these 2 candles right here. This is a current candle, of course. I mean, it's not even a day old. But this candle right here, what is this candle? If we turn off everything on the chart and just look at the candle, what narrative does this candle tell you? Now, remember, before we dive into this any further, I want to reiterate how bullish I am. But I cannot ignore data signals on the chart. Sometimes the data is the candles. Sometimes the data is the volume. Sometimes the data is the indicators and moving averages. Sometimes it's volume profiles and point of controls and order. But we can take it one step at a time and just look specifically at this candle. What does this candle tell you? This candle tells you, boom, coming down into this likely reversal of this downtrend, likely reversal. Why? Because we have an expansion of bearishness into a more neutral candle that actually starts moving bullish. And then what do we get? A bullish impulse, strong bullish impulse. But then we get a weakening impulse. And this does expand a little further, but this is not showing a conviction to the upside, especially followed by this candle right here, where we have this large move to the upside where this wick is, this shadow, some people call it, but this wick, and the price action also moved all the way down into here, and we close with this very small body showing an indifference, an uncertainty about what the narrative is about which direction people want to go. We have to pay attention to this. This does not mean we have to reverse, but it does show that there is some sort of concern here, very similar to what we see right here. Now, this is a slightly different shape, but very similar context. Bullish impulse, more neutral, and then we get the reversal, boom, to the downside. Similarly, right here, we see it right here. Push up into this neutral, we get a little bit of a pullback. Same thing right here, pullback. Look at this, come to the downside, pullback, or bounce, reversal back to the upside. So what I'm looking at right here is not that, I'm not looking at this saying we have to reverse. I'm seeing there's a semi-midterm macro signal that's suggesting a little bit of neutral behavior between this battle between the bulls and the bears. And we have to acknowledge that. Now, when we come down over to the daily chart, and I want to zoom out here. Actually, let's come back to let's go to the 3-day. Just look at this on the larger time frame. This is what everybody's waiting on right here. This yellow line coming into where we're at right now. This would put us about, where's April? About right here is where this next yellow line, this halving, is going to be, roughly about right here. We are so close. Now, being so close does not mean we need to just throw all caution to the wind, because look what happened when we were so close last time. So being so close doesn't mean to go 30x leverage long and think you're going to ride this all the way up, because look at what happened in the global economic shutdown right here. Similarly, pumped into the halving and then sold off. So just context before we dive into some smaller time frame charts and some news that we have to pay attention to that is going to paint the picture about what's shaping the narrative of all the people in the market right now. So before we do that, shout out to everybody that's here, every single one of you members with the beaker next to your name. Big love to each and every one of you. Shout out to anybody that is new here. If you're new here, let me know. Let us all know. We got a warm, wonderful, welcoming, empowering, positive community here, because this is what we're doing. We're growing together. We're going to ride this tide. We're going to raise all ships. That's what this is about. So we're starting with the place of gratitude, and we're coming in with tools, resources, strategy. That's what this is about. So we don't get locked into trades because our emotions trapped us there. So before we really dive into this, every single one of you right now, show some love, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, and let's go ahead and dive into it. So first things first, let's get over here. Make sure you're giving me a follow. I'm doing some giveaways on my personal Twitter throughout the week now, and all you have to do is have your notifications turned on, which means if you're following somebody, let's show you an example. So right here, I'll give you an example. See this right here? Click that little bell on my name. Turn on notifications on my profile right here. I'll be doing some giveaways. I did one yesterday. All you have to do is engage with the tweets. And I'm randomly selecting people and giving some money away. But make sure you give me a follow at Kelly Kellum. And then, of course, BitLab Academy here at Academy BitLab. Join us in our community. We got such a wonderful community. But we got to talk about some things. What is going to potentially be the next driver of the next impulse? Think about what just happened. I mean, really, really consider this. Really consider this. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out of this. I'm going to come right over to this chart right here. I believe this is the chart. Yeah. So this chart right here. Okay. So considering the price action, this is a speculative price action all the way up here. And this last bit of impulse all the way, especially in here to the upside, is very relevant to what was going on with the speculation about the launch, the acceptance, approval, and the launch of the ETFs. So this is a buy the rumor. One of the biggest news stories, if not the biggest news story in the history of Bitcoin, got us up to here and it failed, and we're getting a sell-off right here. So considering that potential sell-off that we're getting right here, I mean, we are getting a sell-off. Is this going to be a fall, retrace, continuation of the downside, or are we setting up for a bit of a reversal pattern right now with this, let's go to the 4 hour, with this sort of inverse head and shoulders that's somewhat forming right now? We have two different narratives right now, but what I want you to think about when we're looking at this narrative of a potential A, B, C correction to the downside, or, which is bearish, right? Or this smaller time frame right in here, this inverse kind of inverted head and shoulders that we're forming, which could see price action. Now look at this, which could see price action come all the way up here and basically test. There's the neckline. I'm going to this neckline right here. Look at this. It would just, this marks out a potential additional test or a follow-through test right in here on a breakout bullishly to where the previous this previous range high was, almost at all-time high. So we need to pay attention to that because we have two different narratives. And what you want to ask yourself is, if we see basically a collapse, rise, continuation to the downside, narrative, but also an inverted head and shoulders potentiality. Ask ourselves, what's the context right now? What has been building into this situation? This rise right here, this speculative rise that we had, they're driving it up. And ultimately, we get this wick to the upside, up above $49,000, only to collapse down. This was this buy the rumor, ETF rumor, and then sell the news. And the biggest news story in the history of Bitcoin, we got to sell off immediately following it. Now, we're also looking at things like this. We're seeing banks, those plagued with cognitive dissonance, blah, blah, blah. I wrote some stuff. But this is a shitcoin, says Bitcoin. This isn't a shitcoin, says Bitcoin Magazine. And this is the basically New York Community Bank. Now, I know you're seeing this on other YouTube channels, but I'm going to give you some context here. This is important for a number of reasons. This is important because this could be an indication of what's going on a systemic level. And this could be something that could do two things. It could drop price precipitously, or we could see something like we saw in March of last year, that we saw price action on Bitcoin explode. And I'll show you that on the chart in a second. But the reason why I bring that up, okay, that's one bank. But what is the system showing? U.S. banks are facing unrealized losses of roughly over $500 billion, $685 billion, updated as of Q3. This problem isn't going away anytime soon until the Fed begins cutting. This is talking about the interest rates. This is why the FOMC meetings are so important, with everything so contentious about what's going to impact this underlying tool mechanism to manipulate the market in response to all the bad monetary policy. So New York Community Bank, Bancorp, might be the next victim. But what we're seeing right here, look at this. This is this is just systemically concerning about what could happen. And what we're talking about here is, if we zoom out on this chart, let's go over to the 12-hour and look at this. So we're going to give you some levels here on the local time frame here in just a moment. So make sure as you roll in, we got 170 people in the room. Every single one of you should be hitting that like button right now, showing some love to the community, hitting that subscribe button. Because remember, we're giving away thousands of dollars a month here on this channel, and we're only scaling that up. In order to participate in that, you got to be subscribed to the channel and just turn on those notifications. And we're gonna keep you in the know on this market. We're gonna keep you encouraged. We're gonna keep you empowered. That's what this is about. This is no drama. This is all love, tools, resources. That's what we're doing here. But this is what we're looking at right here, March. Right here, March 8th, March 9th, March 10th. This was a collapse right after this. This is when the cascading bank failures were happening, with 4 of the largest banks in history collapsing. And what did we see in price? Holy malarkey. I tell you, are we going to see something like this again? This, you have to understand, this was a building block into the mind of people as we see similar things in kind over the next 10 years. When we start stacking this type of Bitcoin response to that type of traditional finance failure, you start building a historical context that people also trade, the speculation, the narrative. So when we're looking at price action, where we're at right now, yes, it feels a little choppy right now. We're frustrated. ETFs launched. It should be going up, up, and away. Well, hold your horses there, young Padawan, because when we come over here on the monthly chart and we realize this is but a baby of an asset, things are moving fast as hell. It just doesn't feel like it, because we want this price action to happen right now on this trade I'm in right now with the 30x leverage. Let's slow it down, because there's no need to speed this up with how fast this market is growing, with how fast adoption is about to explode, especially with not only all this mainstream advertising happening now, we're getting supported and advertised by the biggest asset managers in history. And the next biggest promotion we're ever going to get on Bitcoin is going to be when we do what we see right here on this chart. You see this high? You see this high? When price action gets back up to this region, this is when we get that retail flood of interest into the market, which is why you get this parabolic rise in price action. If you understand the mechanisms that are involved with price action and the narratives, the speculative narratives that are surrounding them, then you can rest a little bit more easy. You're not as stressed, and you can also adjust your portfolio strategy based on where we're at in the market cycle, so you can take the best advantage of price. So what we're at right now, when price action does start pushing up, and it will, once we get back up towards this $63,000 to $70,000 level, I expect we're going to have some hiccups along the way, some little levels that we're going to reject on, and some little levels that we're going to bounce and then put rise, retrace, continuation. I know I keep saying it, but remember, rise, retrace, continuation. This makes people who are not in the know feel like the world's ending and they've just bought here and they're like, oh my God, and then they sell here and then it goes up. Understand the trend we're in right now, where we're at in the market cycle stuff. This is so bullish where we're at right now. So on this area right here, I think we could very well get up into this region, but I still think it's more likely, even if we go up there on this sort of inverted head and shoulders, if we do make that move, if we do confirm, because this is not even a confirmed inverse head and shoulders yet because we don't have this right shoulder. If we are able to confirm this and break out, this target doesn't mean it's going to go there. We still have this golden pocket right here from this high and this low. This is a golden pocket, and we've talked about this, but I just have to re-emphasize this. See this? This high to this low golden pocket right here, 0.618, 0.65. So this very well could be a trap if this does form an inverted head and shoulders, come up in this region, get rejected, and then come down. There's a lot of things at play, which is why we have to do technical analysis every day. You cannot form your opinion on a chart. You cannot form your opinion on a chart and think it's going to hold exact 4 days later. You have to be in these charts if you're trading. If you're investing and taking position trades, then set your schedule for the investments when you're buying, on Mondays or on Fridays, whatever works for you, and the amount you're doing over a period of time, in the part of the market cycle that you want to DCA into. And as it stands right now, this is looking like it's trying to set up a bit of a trap to me because we still haven't gotten that big move to the downside. Now, do I think we're going to get all the way past 40, 50, somewhere in that percentage on a drop pre-halving like we have historically? Maybe. History says we are likely to, but I'm going to err on the side of a little bit more bullish and think that if we do get that big drop, and remember, we've already fulfilled that on this move right here, coming to the top to the bottom, we already got that 20% move, much like we had right here, 20% move, okay? Much like we got right here. 20% move, much like we got right here. We're getting a lot of 20%. So is there just more underlying bullishness preventing us? There's too much interest in buying, aka also not enough interest in selling? That could be the case. Maybe we don't get more than this 20% dump. Maybe this was the low that we're going to get before the halving. But I'm still prepared with all of these levels in mind right now about where the price action could go. Because if we double click on this, we see we're showing a little bit of weakness here on these oscillators. If we turn on the BitLab intelligence and we turn on the BitLab volume, let's actually go up to this chart right here. There we go. Okay. So we're coming right into this zone on trend lines. Let's turn off everything, actually. Let's just look at this. We're coming right into this zone. We lost the blue line. We lost this trend line. We lost this larger, this right here, where we've kind of formed what I'm a little concerned about, which is indicating to me there's more likelihood downside just on a technical level, just looking at the price action alone. We have an M formation right here. Price action breaks down. We form a new low. Out of all this range, we got a new lower low from here. And now on this level right here, look at where we got rejected on this macro resistance trend line, and which is also currently showing that we're potentially, if this continues to break down, the lower low followed by the lower high that I've been talking about that the chart was telegraphing. If this is the case, then I'm looking for, if we do break down below this level here, this basically 41.7, we do break down below that, I do expect we'll retest at minimum 38.9, but more likely having this ABC correction, which I think, again, I'm kind of torn with thinking we're going to get a 40% pullback. I think it's more likely we're going to get somewhere in the 24 to 32% sort of range, which let's see what that looks like. Zoom out on that option. Now we could press spacebar. So this would be 24% right here. This would form the lower low, lower high, and then coming down and breaking this level, which is what you'd want to see on an ABC correction. This would represent about 25%. And this is right to the 786 line. You see this right here? Now, if we get all the way down in here, then this goes down into that 30% mark. at 34,000. Now, what also is 34,000? It's an area that is above this previous. Is this not? Let's see. Auto. This 34,000 is above this range high. Both these range highs. It's also above this sort of gateway. This low, this high gives us this gateway. This would be buyers coming in to defend an area before we get down to that level, as well as this rising level of support, which comes in relatively about the same. We'd be front running that. So this ultimately would be my hopium target. But as we sit right now, I see charts. I see the battle between the bulls and the bears because we have a very clear bearish chart with a bullish reversal pattern within it. I think the markets might be doing some work to trick some people, but what other context is there? Well, we see this bank, the bank yesterday collapsing, 40-something%. We saw the systemic issue with other banks, but then if we come over here, we can also see, look, it's not just that, the systemic issues with how much liabilities they're carrying, especially with the interest putting pressure on their ability to pay those debts or to service them. We can also see, look, regional banks, look at this sort of losing. What do we got? A push up, a breakdown, testing this previous range high, only to push up, have a lower high here, followed by forming now a lower low. This is telling me banks are having some issues. Earnings reports aren't showing up in the way that they want. I think Bancor, this one we were talking about right here, I think they were expecting like a $260 million profit or something, and they were at a $260 million loss, something ridiculous like that. So when we're seeing this, this is telling two stories. Some pressure may be coming on the economy, but also on the banks. If they start failing, does this give a bolster to the idea that Bitcoin is a store of value? It's only yet to be seen, but we also have to remember we have that halving coming up right around the corner. It's this line right here, roughly about first week of April. So what else can we be looking at? Well, ETFs have been a huge story lately, right? Well, look at this. Day 4, net inflows for Bitcoin spot ETFs. Inflows. This is not outflows. This is the net inflows. $200 million. So we're starting to see that positivity. We can see right here, 161,000 Bitcoin in spot ETFs. Euphoria will begin around 70,000. Why? This is that number I was just telling you. When we hit that, when we break the previous all-time high, that's when everybody that's been chiding you or telling you, Bitcoin, and then they've been, you've been telling them about it. And then once it breaks $70,000 and we get up to the 80,000, 90, 100, 110,000, that's when people start saying, man, maybe I should be getting in. That's the retail hype. They don't buy low and sell high. They buy high and then sell when they capitulate and then they say, oh, Bitcoin's a scam. Oh, no, you just made a stupid decision about when to buy and sell. That's all it is. And all of us have done it. But when we're seeing stuff like this, Euphoria will begin around 70,000 Bitcoin, 70,000 per Bitcoin, and peak at 6 figures months later. That's right. Inflows will explode big. And we can see this. This is easy. This is the holdings of BlackRock and Fidelity and Bitwise and 21 shares and all these different. You see this growing. But the most important thing that we want to look at right now when we're trying to ask what direction is price going, where is the buying pressure coming from? Especially it's what we are hoping for with these spot ETFs. It's looking at this chart right here. This is a better example of what we're looking at here because these purple bars, this is the outflows from Grayscale. So them having outflows was putting potential pressure or uncertainty in the market because we're seeing hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in outflows from Grayscale. But as we saw on this chart, where's a lot of those outflows going to? It's just getting reallocated into these spot ETFs. Now, why is this important? I'm tired of hearing about ETFs. This is important because as Grayscale starts winding down or the amount of outflows diminish, then that capital that's going into the OTC desk that is offering the buying power to accumulate in all these other spot ETFs, now we're seeing a net positive effect on the price action because we're not having all this essentially sell pressure, new supply coming in, not new supply, supply coming back on the market to be bought, right? Diluting the buying pressure as this dwindles down. Even with this right here is more effective than this right here. Even though this is much larger, we're seeing here, this is basically net equal of outflows and inflows. Look at where we're at currently right now. Now we're going to have to see how this develops over time, but this is only going to get better. It's only going to get better over the next 6 months. So when we're looking at all this stuff on the charts, we have to understand that also we have other signals like this. Whales withdrawing Bitcoin from BitMEX. And when we see this, it's very hard to see on this, but you see these huge outflows. These are whales withdrawing from exchange. And when we see these whales withdrawing from exchange, what does that mean? If you have coins on exchange, that means you're also kind of ready to sell if you need. If your plan is to be basically custodying or holding, not making movement of those coins, you take them off exchange and put them into your private storage. So looking at these, what feel like somewhat obscure data metrics, it gives you a little bit of a lens into the mind of these very important players in the market. So look at this huge a little inflow here. This inflow spike was everybody scared because of global economic shutdown, COVID, etc. But immediately after, look at this, huge outflows right here at the bottom, price up. Right here, a little bit of dip, huge outflows. Look at this. It's almost like a springboard. And then we see right here, price action comes down and we get some big outflows right here and the price action does push up a bit. Of course, this is when we're in the bear market, so it did continue to the downside. Right here, after FTX collapse, we see it's hard to tell, I'm sure on the screen there, but you see a bit of a spike to the downside in outflows. And this is when we kind of get a little bit of stability here and then price action moves up. Similarly, right here, look at this huge spike to the downside. Boom, price action up. And we're seeing a little bit, I mean, nothing like this or this, but even these small, but you can see them. It's more than a blip. You're seeing a disproportionate number of, over that period of time, of whales pulling off of exchange. So where are we at? Fair value map. We're right at fair value. And this fair value could oscillate, on a $6,000 or $8,000 level and still regionally be in that area. But when we look at this middle green line here, notice this is a halving, this is a halving, this is a halving, these vertical lines. Notice that on all previous halvings, we have rejected at some point on the fair value. In this case, we pushed up to it, broke right through it, came back down, found a little bit of resistance breakdown. On the previous cycle, 2015 into 2016, we see we rejected at the fair value, consolidated under it, a little bit of accumulation, and then we got that push to the upside, came back and found support on it. Similarly, in this previous cycle, look, rejected under it, came back down, accumulated, pushed up, came back down, found support on it, and then moved to the upside. What we're doing right now is we're having that first sort of test over the last month of that fair value area, which is roughly about $46,000, $45,000. So regardless of the price action, when you're zoomed in on a daily, a 4-hour, a 1-hour, a 15-minute chart, everything couldn't be more on schedule. So let's be a little patient with ourselves and realize, look, we are 94% of the way there to the next halving. We are so close, so let's not get out of context here and make some stuff. And I just want to point this out as well from Mustache, El Crypto Prof. I don't know about you, but I still don't feel the excitement I felt in 2017 and in 2021. What does that tell us? We're still very early in this bull market. There will be plenty of opportunities to make it. Remember, boring time in crypto equals opportunities. A lot of people see stories or they have a friend that made money quickly. They don't realize that friend may have been waiting for a moment or holding on to something for 6 months or a year or more before that huge opportunity came. If you just got in, or even if you've been in a while, you're ready for it to move, let the market move at its own pace, because what we're doing right now is beautiful. I mean, this is beautiful. We broke below this area, came down. These trend lines have just been magic for us. So until we get up here, I'm watching ultimately $45,000. If we cannot, even if we push up into here, I'm not necessarily bullish for a potential move to the upside. This is going to be critical for what's going to happen between now and the halving. If we push up into the zone and take it out, then we may push up, break back down, and consolidate here with a little bit of a dip before we continue to the upside. If we're not able to even get back into the zone and we break down from here, then we look for these downside targets. Now, what is it looking like when we're looking at like Ethereum and et cetera? Well, looking here at Ethereum, let's go on the 12-hour. We can see there's been a lot of chop here. This essentially has been a sideways sideways consolidation range right here. The question is this going to be a little bit of distribution and price move down, or is this going to just, maybe we get a Wyckoff sort of setup where this kind of comes down like a bit of a spring, come back up, and then move to the upside. But as it stands right now, remember the ETH ETF deadlines are coming up, I believe, in May. There's going to be another soft deadline in March, which is more likely than not going to be delayed into May. But May is that same for ETH. It's that January 10th deadline we have for Bitcoin, that ultimate deadline. That's in May. So when we're looking at this, we also have to understand the context between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoins, especially with all this bubbling. I don't want to call it euphoria. There is a burning sort of underlying bullishness. Let me say this real quick. There is a burning underlying bullishness about everything going on in the crypto space right now, with the fact that all these top asset managers in history, Fidelity, BlackRock, now we also have Bitwise, Invesco, Van Eck. So, I mean, there's so much excitement about what's coming and what this price action is going to do coming into this halving here at the first week of April 2024. The question is, can you be patient? The question is, can you take advantage of what the price action is offering you because the data says it, not because your emotions are triggered? The fact of the matter is most people are going to get chopped out of a lot of their capital, if not all, if they're actively engaging in this market without data. If they're engaging on an emotional level because they want to make a huge amount of money, that's when you lose money. Engage a strategy that's a little bit more patient. Come here on the BitLab Academy daily streams. Get in BitLab Academy over at bitlabacademy.com. Get in our community on Discord. We are breaking all these things down, the tools, the strategies, the resources, so that we can all ride this wave together. All of us should be succeeding. None of us should be failing. I've failed enough in the past that I hope I share my failures with you so that you can win in this market. I love you guys and I appreciate you. And I want us all to be able to take advantage of the best opportunity that's ever in our lifetimes will present. So let's ride this to the top. Now, this is looking a little bearish after all that. This is looking a little bearish, even though this is kind of chopping in the same sideways range. We're getting a lot of, sort of trouble here as we have this impulse to the upside that ultimately breaks back down. Now, this move to the upside, we're getting currently lower highs. Unless we can push up into this zone here. Let's go ahead and delete this line right here. Let's go to the top, Option F, top to the bottom. Option F gives you a Fibonacci. So these two zones right in here, right where this order block is, right here on the chart, boom. This is that zone we're really looking for. If Ethereum is able to, one, take out this red line that we have here that's acted as a lot of interesting price action. We have to take that level out first, which it currently is 23, basically 23, 24. But I would actually argue you need to take out this 382 because we have these higher lows, this higher high right in the zone. So this would be relative to a move up that's also this previous range highs. If we cannot take this level out, we can't even talk about this. As it stands right now, this is looking weak. We have negative money flow. Look at this on the 12-hour. We had a wave, a momentum wave, angling back up, which is now getting concave, starting to angle back down. And then look at all this bearishness on the BitLab trading stack on this dashboard. Stochastics angle back down. RSI just feels choppy in this zone. So in addition to all this, we see that we now have a rising broadening wedge. So even if we push up into the zone, the likelihood that this is going to break out is starting to stack that this might push up into this and then come back down and at minimum test back down in this order block again at least one more time. This low range, this order block range, and also the support level of this rising broadening wedge. So I'm a little skeptical on any sort of pump right now on Ethereum, even though there's a lot of bullishness coming. Market makers and smart money are aware that a lot of you know that bullishness is out there, and they're gonna trigger your emotional speculation only to reverse it and get better prices. They're going to use you as free liquidity. So unless you have a plan trading on smaller time frames, I'd really recommend right now, this is dip buying opportunities until we have the halving, and then we can ride the trend up. With a portion of our portfolio, not all of it, a portion of our portfolio, you ride the rise, retrace, buy, continuation. That's the kind of strategy we're looking at going into here. So the question I have right now, before we go into some of these other altcoins, we'll look at Arweave, we'll look at Render, we'll look at SEI, look at Chainlink for sure, Cardano. every single one of you, I want you to look below this video right now. Does it say subscribed? If not, I openly welcome you. Join our community. We got a wonderful tribe here. It's all about positivity and tools. I want to make sure you guys make this market really help change your life. So hit that like button, get involved, and let's go ahead and go through some of these altcoins. Arweave, I forget one of the members asked for Arweave. Let's go ahead and look at this. Okay, immediately looking bearish. First thing I notice, bearishness. Why? Because we have this line right here, boom. See, bounce, 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 bounce. Now we're kind of losing it a little bit, but regionally we haven't fully lost it. We have lost it here. But then we also have this descending trend line right in here. Descending trend line right in here, what we rejected on, and we're getting, I mean, it's looking weak. Negative money flow down here we see. Stochastics angle down, a bunch of bearishness on this level. The one kind of saving grace is that we do have this giant order block right here. All of this green on this chart, it's auto printed with the BitLab trading stack. The BitLab indicators, you can get over at bitlabacademy.com. Right here, come up here to indicators, or you can enroll and get the BitLab Pro, which is the courses, the premium Discord, and the indicators. But get involved, man. We got some good stuff in there. So we're seeing this push up, fall. We're getting a much lower high here, rounding, looking weak, and negative money flow, supporting the weakness there. So if we drop, what are we looking for? Boom, right there. That's what ultimately my first stop I'm looking at, because it's these lows, these lows, these lows, these lows, you know. And in addition to all this, it's also, oops. In addition to all this, it's also the highs right over in this region, see? So there's a lot of interaction at this level. If we lose this level, 776, which, see, when you're zoomed out on a 12-hour chart, it doesn't look that far. But if we go to the 1-hour chart, look at this. This is why you got to look at different time frames and understand this is still a substantial move. I mean, that's a 7% move. Now, if we do come down and the market as a whole starts to be pulling back, then we're going to be looking at the next level down, which is going to be roughly about right here. Now, in addition to all this, what we can do is come out here back to the 6-hour. Now, let's go ahead and take a Fibonacci, option F, from the bottom to the top. I'm going to do 2 fibs here, and look at this right here. We're coming right around this 382 level. And this level right here, which is these lows, is kind of relative to where this golden pocket is. So this is telling me if we lose this level, there's 2 levels right in this region that say this is probably a good level to watch, 677, 676. Now that might make you mad. You just got into it, started moving. Why is it going backwards? You have the wrong mindset. You bought anywhere up here and now it's going down. You believed in it up here, and now you're getting a better opportunity to get it cheaper. You can lower your average entry. Have the right mind frame on all this. Now we can also do a fib from right here, from the bottom of that breakout, and go like this. And look at that. So this line is also relative to where the 786 is from this move to the top. And look at this. We're sitting right now. That's why you do multiple fibs. We're sitting right now on the golden pocket of this move to that top. So this is telling us this bearishness. If we do lose this, I'm looking at these levels, this 770 region and then the 670 region. Now let's look at Chainlink. Chainlink, making some moves. Let's get out here to the 12-hour range. Boom, 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 boom. Man, this is a great range in here, but this, is it really breaking out? Because we do have a bit, draw this a couple different ways. It seems like we have a top, a rejection here, a rejection here. It's going to be a little bit arbitrary how you want to do this, but as it stands right now, let's look at this daily. Okay, daily. Let's go ahead and zoom this out so we can see. Okay, stochastics angled up, RSI angled up. They're kind of getting a hot zone though. Kind of getting, they're not too hot though, because this is 92%. This is 70. I'm looking at the percentages over here on the right. When you move your mouse, you can see. So this is, I'd be watching, especially on the stochastics, option T, trend line like this. If the stochastics get up into this region and the candle structure, the individual candles look like they're also losing a little bit of stamina, lose a little bit of momentum, I'd be watching for a little bit of a pullback, because we're seeing the stochastics, this orange line, reject every time it gets here. Now we still have negative money flow, but it may be starting to come up. What does it look like on the 2-hour? So yeah, so on the 2-hour, money flow did come up positive, but we're getting a little bit of some signs of weakness here. As stochastics, you see this? Stochastics are coming into the zone that they have been reversing at. RSI also coming into a zone that it's reversed 3 times. Now, when we zoom back out and look at the price action, big move to the upside. I'd be watching for a potential, unless we break a key level, which we don't really have because this obscure sort of, you gotta go like this. There we go. This is the area I'd be watching, and we have a trend line right here too. And look, so this trend line from these tops is going to intersect with the trend line from these tops. This is telling me that that level right, where's my symbols? Right here. This level right here is an area of interest for a potential reversal, because we have this trend line. And I mean, honestly, if you drag this back, look at that. So you have this sort of zone. There, with these lows and these highs right in the zone, intersecting with this rising level of resistance over in this zone. So we're going to want to watch what happens. Maybe a little bit of chop into here, but I do think that in this next bull market, in the bull market that's really, I mean, we're in a bull market, but when the bull market really kicks off, I think Chainlink is going to perform very well. So I'm looking for opportunities. If this does rise, if we do have any sort of pullback, I'd be a net buyer of this. If we get back down here into the 13s, I mean, talk about being a great buying opportunity. And if we lose that, man, I'm going to sell my car or something. Now, we come, there's a couple other things I saw. Cardano. What's Cardano looking like? Cardano. Okay, boom. Got a bunch of fibs from before. All right, how many people we got? We got 198 people. Every single one of you should have hit that like button, tickle that like button, hit that subscribe button, join us here. And everybody here, let's do a little bit of a roll call. Where's everybody tuned in from? What city, what state? Are you at work? Are you driving in your car? Are you making tacos? So Cardano, this is a 2-hour chart. Look at this, came right into this trend line that these 2 points projected, and it caught a little bit of a sell-off here. Now, you can also argue, let's go ahead and delete these. You can also argue that there's a little bit of a, oh, it's, I don't want to necessarily say bullish, but let's see. Yeah, so we got a little bit of a falling wedge here. So established, rejection, substantiated, rejected. So now we're going to want to watch if this does come back down. I'd be watching for this low because this is also this previous high, but I'd be watching if this does break down somewhere in this region would be a good opportunity probably for an order. Now these tend to break bullish, but I think everything's kind of waiting on some of the all the things that are happening in the world right now, and where we're at with the ETF stuff, and if Bitcoin's going to sell off and what's the risk. But we can pay attention. We can ignore all that as well and look at the chart and say, okay, we got a falling wedge here, and we're at a sort of key area that we have rejected off of before, and now we have this trend line with this bounce. Look at the interaction. We're sitting right on this level. If we lose this level on Cardano, then I'd be watching for one, bouncing up here, rejecting, coming back. I'd be watching down here at this 45-cent level. I think anywhere 45 cent down to 42 cents, I think will be a good opportunity to start sort of laddering an entry to play the move back to the upside. How many of you out there are Cardano holders? Let me know. Let's go ahead and see what the BitLab, okay, look at this. So coming down, losing this, we got a little bit of an order block here. They act like magnets. So yeah, I mean, this would be a great opportunity down in this region. It's 42. I'm going to put a box on it so when we come back to it later. But if we just hold here, I'm not mad at that either. This is saying I'm going to take advantage of opportunity. If we hold here and push up and then break out from here, I'd be playing the breakout confirmation. I'd be playing if this comes in here like this and then breaks out, comes back, finds support, and then continues, finding a buy opportunity right somewhere in here. That's the way consistently profitable traders do it over time. They don't need to say, it's breaking out, I got to get it. No, hold your horses. A lot of times you get traps. I mean, look at this wick, boom. Look at these little wicks right here, boom. People got trapped there because they like, it broke a line, I have to buy. No, hold your horses. Let the market confirm you. Let the move happen. Let some people take profits and come back and see where the bulls come back in. If they defended above this previous resistance and confirm this, that's that support resistance flip that we're talking about. This confirmation, this bounce, and then coming back up on this way back up is your opportunity to really take advantage of it in the most risk managed way. Now you can do whatever you want. Maybe you buy the breakout and have a very tight stop loss, or right on this bottom, if you see candles forming showing a potential reversal, maybe you buy, maybe that's your entry and you have a very tight stop loss. It just gets a lot more nerve wracking when you do that. I'm just telling you from experience. So let's be a little patient there. What's MATIC doing? MATIC, a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders, but it's a little lopsided, so I'm not really buying it. I could see a play into this region up in here. I'd want to see what would happen on MATIC if we can get back to the 84 to 80, 84, 85 cents and take this out, then maybe. But there's some bullishness in the fact that we have this trend line right here that we did push out of it and confirm this flip. If we're not able to take out this area, then I'm looking for a likely sort of, I mean, I think with MATIC, it'd probably be something like this, you know, a little bit like that. But if we do break down and lose this, then, you know, I think if MATIC's going down in price action, the broader market's going to be going down as well. So let's be a little patient there. Stacks here. What's stacks looking like? 4 hour. Look at this coming down. Look at this once into this order block range. Pushed up, came back down into this order block range. We have a double order block here, but this region, look at where this tapped. Now we're pushing back up, but we're getting a lower high in this zone. Like we cannot even break out of this zone right here. So if we cannot clear $1.64, you know, and this sort of continues breaking down, I'm looking for another test of that $1.24 area and then potentially moving down a bit further. There was something else I wanted to show you guys. Solana. Okay, this is looking like MATIC did, where you have this breakdown, rejection, now break through, come down, retesting this. But I don't know. I'm feeling weakness on this, even though because we did take out this high here. But get stochastics are reset, coming back up. We do have positive money flow. RSI is angled up. What's this looking like on the daily? See, on the daily, the stochastics are starting to roll over a little bit. Now, what's it look like on the 1 hour? Let me just come over here. Viewer activity. Again, shout out again to Alexander G given those 5 memberships. How many members are here right now? Let's see some of those bull emojis or some of those Astro cats. Yeah, see on the 2 hour, this is already angled over. We have negative money flow. I'm feeling a little skeptical about this being a true confirmation. It came down, but we're seeing weakness. This is not even testing. It's barely testing these previous range lows, and the stochastics are rolling over. So I'll be watching for a potential another move to the downside. Shout out to all those emojis. Big love, each and every one of you. Now, there's something else I wanted to show. AGIX. AGIX looking, let's get to the 4 hour. New low, new lower high, I mean, we have this wick, but these candle bodies closing below this range. So it's kind of, this is indeterminable right here because we're getting into a range, but we're having lower highs in this zone. If we come down and test this and lose this 24 to 23 cent zone, I think we're going to be having a fairly quick move to the downside because this does not look bullish, this roundingness. So I'm thinking we're going to test into this order block range that was established back here in November, which is not that much further down below us. Now, if we lose this, then I think that we'll be, you know, testing down to this zone right here, this range low and range high, range high, range high. I'd be looking for a target right here in this zone at 19.5. But I think that's all I got today, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. Before we go, have you bought or sold anything today? Have you done your taxes? Just want to shout out decrypted.tax. You can find that link right here, decrypted.tax/hit. Get a 25% discount on getting your crypto taxes done. I'm telling you, get ahead of it. You're going to feel so much better if you get your taxes done. You can also sign up for a free consultation. Talk about what you need to do. I know the first time I used the decrypted.tax, I was able to actually get some money back because I had my taxes done wrong. So get ahead of the curve. Make sure you check out bitlabacademy.com. You could go through all these courses, understand individual candles, candle patterns, on-chain data analysis. These are all full courses that have multiple 15, 20, 30 different lessons in them broken down into individual topics. And if you want to, I'm going to share it in the chat right now. We have a huge deal going on. This is for Josh's community, but you know what? I love you guys because you're my community. So I want to make sure you guys have access to this too. You can get a 30-day free trial to the BitLab Academy premium Discord. And then if once you do that, then there's immediately another upgrade that if you want the indicators, the courses and everything. And it's the best price we've ever offered. So take advantage of it while you can. The link is right there. I'm going to pin it to the top right now. And it's lab.bitlabacademy.com/Josh. So if you're watching this later, it's lab.bitlabacademy.com/Josh. This is a very limited time. So get involved with it. Get in our Discord with us. We got so many things going on in there. So many charts, so many breakdowns. We had a member stream last night. Josh and I did with live trading, talking about some things in there. But we got, let's see, we got the JJ Calls where he's in here sharing all kind of stuff and his picks and charts and setups. And TA Tim's in here sharing what he's doing. We got VIP charts with Corduroy and John Dalton and some of our other top traders in here breaking things down. And then, of course, I'm in here as well, sharing a lot of things going on in the markets and setups. So get involved in the Discord. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I got to run. Adios, muchachos. Over and out. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. BitLabAcademy.com. Hit that like button, sucker.